This is a bag of food. This is the good stuff. If you're out shopping for street food in Thailand, you want curry. You want bags of food that are wet. And you ask them, hey, I want this one. A lot of people get these with a lot of meat. I get mine with cauliflower. Is my preference. So good. So there's meat. That would be pork. This might be chicken. Probably that's just a straight hunk of pork fat. Nope, it was vegetable. And so you'll buy a bag of this, and you'll buy a bag of rice, and you're supposed to go home and pour it into a bowl. Or put it on a plate, more like. Do I do that? No. I do this. Usually it's worse than this. Usually I just use my hands. You get comfortable with that. Eating with your hands? Sometimes it comes to it. There's a certain level of minimalist you have to really want to be to want to eat with your hands. And just say, you know what, this is my best choice. I'd rather have the food. If you can do that, among a host of other things, then you are prepared to travel, not even on a low budget. It's not about the budget. It's about, can you fit into the situations that you'll encounter. That's the game, you know? And you get into those situations in the first place. And I think the answer is to live, for both of those questions, is to try to live in a way that's not, like, you should make money. But it can't ever really be about the money if you're going to stay on the move, because money is better stable. Money comes more easily when you're stable, and you have a better community of people that you can share your resources with. That's what it's really all about at the end of the day. Sharing your resources with your community, and your community appreciating that to share their resources with you. How do you keep track of that? Well, oftentimes we use money as a currency to represent value. That is it. Can you provide someone value on a motorcycle trip? You can walk into a town and you can offer, or just do without offering. You can pick up trash. That is the single most useful thing that you can do as an adventurer. If you've got a big truck, you want to go mudding with the boys, find yourself some forest road, and then get back there, go find all the trash. You'll have a good time, and you'll have a purpose, which means it'll be more fun. You'll make better memories, and you'll do something good for the community. Now, do you want to make money while traveling? I don't think there's much that you can do for the locals to make money. The only thing that I think is reasonably possible is if you do temporary day labor, which can be in the form of you showing up with a ladder and saying, hi, can I climb on your roof with these trash bags and get your, clean up your gutters? I'm going around town, and I've done that once successfully. I've done it once failing, and I've done it once with a referral. So, if you can be the guy that, you know, it's not really about going to new places either. Travel can be about going, building and maintaining bases. So if you want to every Saturday go to the same small town where people know you, and that they know that you're there to do odd jobs, oh baby. Oh, if you just want to work odd jobs on the weekend, and then the rest of the week you get on your scooter and you go to the mountains, like, totally reasonable. That can be a life that you have. You're getting your adventure, And you should live in proximity to a place where you can really get back there. Like if you can make that like a 2 to 5 hour trip, oh baby, you can get back to some cool stuff. So that's like, I shouldn't tell you where. You can ask. If you want to know where that's passable, you can ask. And I can tell you. I've got some ideas. I've been a few places. I haven't been everywhere, and my awareness and experience is always growing. And additionally, it's important to be active in your knowledge base and in your skills. And if you are latent or inactive on exercising your capacity in using a body of knowledge, then maybe your opinion isn't as valid. Like, for example, I can give you my opinion about Memphis, Tennessee, and tell you all the cool places to go. I haven't lived in Memphis, Tennessee consistently since 2015. 2015. It's been 8 years, almost 9. Wow. Also, it's the last day of 2023. Tomorrow is 2024. Go team! Yeah. So, can I really tell you my opinion on travel? Why should you try to eat with just your hands instead of using chopsticks? This comes from someone who's carrying chopsticks, and I would recommend that you carry chopsticks or a spoon. Whatever is your comfort. With chopsticks, they're kind of hard to keep clean. They're kind of hard to put inside of things without puncturing them or causing stress to the fabric or the plastic. Very easy to replace. Maybe ethically you'd feel better about hanging on to your chopsticks and using them as much as you can rather than replacing them, and that's great if you feel comfortable doing that. I find it's easiest with a vehicle. You can't really carry chopsticks so easily on your person. You might be able to put them into a backpack. Much easier in a vehicle. Is my opinion useful to you as someone who has traveled? Well, I'm traveling now, and I can tell you about the day that I'm having. And it's a good day, and I think it's a good day because I've traveled before. I know what to expect, and I know one key example of a good lesson is when to stop. Many times I've traveled and I've seen a beautiful view, and I thought, oh man, on the next time we see that, let's pull over. It's very likely that you just saw it. And if you don't stop and look at it now, then you won't see it again. And so if you see something that wow, I want to see that, the correct response is not to say, oh, let's see if it keeps going. The correct response is to stop. Lest you miss the opportunity, because there are certain opportunities. You should know how to gauge your ability to assess if an opportunity is worth stopping for. If you've got a bunch of time for the day and you've got a bunch of ability and resources, your water is full, you've got your sunscreen on, you're warm enough, you've got the right clothes, it's nice outside, you can move freely, and then you just have a bunch of time, and the question is, well, what's going to be worth it? And you just go until you find something that's worth it. And there you are. And then you take pictures, or you write about it, or you make the space into your living room, which is the best way that I like to say it. You want to find a spot where it took you some time to get there, and then you get to enjoy it as your living room for a time, whether that's for an hour, or 2 hours, or 5 hours and a sleep, and then you wake up the next day, or if you want to stay back there for 4 days with your friends and climb on the rocks that are close by. That's fun too. That's what I want to do. I got ideas for that. If you want to know where to do that, you call me, because I know the answer. I want to know what certain things can afford you. Like if you're actually making the most out of a snowmobile, what are you up to? Because that sounds like fun. If you're making the most out of backcountry skis, what are you doing? Who's doing overnighters on backcountry skis? Please call me. It's also not necessarily being more extreme. It's about having fun with your friends and family. You don't have to do badass shit. But I'll tell you what, I am in favor of human powered. I'm in favor of, if you've got small engines and you want to get someplace, if you've got a big engine and get someplace, like, I don't really know what it's like to have a big truck. I really can't comment on that. I also am a bit of a minimalist. This is my first time on a scooter trip in over a year, really. Um, and I was doing a lot of bike packing, which has its own can of worms. Well, not a lot of bike. I did a week long bike packing trip this past year. I went up the coast of New Zealand, did some on pavement and off pavement stuff for almost a month. That happened. Yes, that came to pass. And then I did a couple overnighters on my bike. And then I did a lot of commuting. And then I fell really badly uh, on the trails at Glendew Bay. I was going on a blue downhill mountain biking trail. Beautiful scenery. Ah! And I did it, and it was fun on this new bike that I had. I was on a Surly 29 Plus ECR. I believe it was built in 2015 in Minneapolis. That's what I know about it. It was the first model year. It was built in Minneapolis. It's a full rigid frame. It's got 29 plus tires. The ones that were on there were good and grippy. Mechanical disc brakes all around. The most interesting feature is two things. The rear wheel is quick release, and it's got this interesting sliding axle holdouts, dropouts, not dropouts because it doesn't drop out, but the dropout, the pull out, if you want to call it that, is long, and you want to be all the way in, but it helps you line up the tire from further back. It's a pretty easy rear tire to get on, which is nice. The front, if I owned the bike longer, and I had the money to consider doing something like this, I would change the front probably to a quick release. As is, it's an Allen key release axle, which is fine. But it's kind of annoying sometimes. It's kind of annoying. I don't know if they're worried about profile issues. Maybe there's a low profile quick release you can get. Anyways, not a lot of backpacking lately. Some in Athens, Greece, I did an overnighter there. Hiked out of downtown and got into the mountains to the east side, which were lovely. And Athens is a mountain town. Like, didn't know this. Don't know what the opinion is. I'll tell you my opinion. Athens is a mountain town. Athens is a great town. It's got culture. It's got beautiful urban architecture. It is vibrant. It is, there are some sordid parts. There are some parts where you should be wondering about your safety and doing everything you can to keep yourself safe, and that includes from dogs and from people. More people in Athens than dogs. There were places where the answer was more dogs than people. Like Istanbul, for example. If you're on the east side of Istanbul near SAW Airport, and you're walking westward toward town, so you're in the Asian side, the far Asian side, like in those apartment complexes back there that have been converted from apartment complexes to businesses. Um, that's an area that you get into some doggy stuff back there. So yeah, and that's the other part. Is a lot of tramping, a lot of walking, a lot of urban walking is what I've been up to. With a few nights of camping to ease the burden of paying for hostels and whatnot, but then just a lot of hostel life. So like when people who stay in hostels, they call them backpackers. What does it mean to be a backpacker? And I kind of had a attitude about it when I first started, like, oh, that's not really backpacking. Because in America, we call backpacking something different. But no, this is backpacking, and I honestly think it's a more valid way, because the fact of the matter is, when I lived in America and I owned a backpack, how often was I actually going into the woods and sleeping overnight with a bunch of weight that I carried on my back? It was more likely that I was doing that car camping or on meandering trips where I would get out of the car and go find a place to bed down for the night. Was I using, the chassis of the backpack to carry things 4+ miles into the woods on a regular basis, especially on loops? No. I did it a couple times while living in Idaho, but not often. It was either moto trips or car trips, and there was a lot of living in my car or living in a tent while commuting from the tent. And so that was my style, and so I can't really speak much on backpacking. And I want to get more into backpacking, which is why I think I feel a certain way when I see things that are labeled as backpacking, and I want to experience that more, and then I feel like maybe it's a mislabel. But it's not a mislabel. And the fact is, when I share this with you, it's actually hard to backpack in America. It's you have to really go out of your way. You have to be really intentional about it. Like it has to be something you dedicate time to. And I wasn't doing it as much as I thought would come naturally. I thought if I just get the gear and I'm in position and I move to cities where people live who want to backpack, then I'll just end up backpacking, no problem. And it's like, if you're not going by yourself, you should probably be joining a backpacking club if that's what you want to do, because you just might not be doing it as much unless you're really intentional about it. Or at least you make it easy. You put yourself on a conveyor belt that makes it more likely you'll succeed in your backpacking goals, because it's easy to not succeed in your backpacking goals. And so in a way, though, this form of travel that I have now, um, it's still minimalist, and you're still using your gear, and it's more accessible than backpacking. You can make a life fit into this a little easier. Though I'll tell you what, last week I made life fit into sleeping outside really well. It was in Concane. I was near a bus station, and I decided I was going to rough it. I'd had some friends visit from America for about 10 days, and we had a great time. We stayed in nice places. We ate great food. We flew um, to, to Chiang Mai from Bangkok, then we flew down to Phuket. We went snorkeling. We had a great time. We used a lot of the tourist infrastructure that's made available here in Thailand. It's great. A lot of times I try to live a bit off the tourist infrastructure. I try to live on the backpacker infrastructure or on local infrastructure. But I was enjoying the tourist infrastructure. And so as soon as my friends left, I'm like, I need to make some changes. It's not what I'm used to. It was fun while it lasted, but I need to. So I went and I stayed in a hostel far east, um, out in Ubon Ratchathani, and I really enjoyed Ubon Ratchathani. Incredible coffee shop scene. I'll tell you what. I've lived in Wellington, and they get all up about their espresso. Like, we've got great coffee. Like, I don't know, guys, your coffee's the same as everyone else. But I've definitely spent time in like Portland and Seattle. Lived in Denver, the area. I've been through there a lot. Downtown Salt Lake City actually has a pretty good coffee shop scene, I'll say. But what I'm driving at here is Ubon Ratchathani has the best coffee shop scene I have ever seen in my life, hands down. And I'll say that about arts in general for Thai people. Thai people, all the music that I've seen here performed by Thai people, very talented. Better than live music in America. I've never seen live music like I have here in Thailand. And frankly, I've been pretty bored of live music, and I thought it was my problem. Nope. When you see live music in Thai, you realize, oh, you can still love live music. Plenty to love here. Thai people are very talented at making coffee. And I say that as a barista. And so I understand that's not meant to be demeaning. It's actually quite easy to make espresso. But I was really impressed with the coffee at Ubon Ratchathani. I would have liked to have stayed and gotten a lot of work done there. I called it Thai Texas. It's just kind of off on its own, this big expanse of land, and it's not that much tourism. It was cool. I enjoyed it. The hostel was a little expensive for my taste. I'm comfortable with about at 60 to 90 baht per night, which is not available everywhere, especially in the high season. So this place in Ubon Ratchathani, the cheapest one was 130 baht, and it was right on the river, and it was beautiful. It actually reminded me of home, Memphis, Tennessee. It reminded me of the Mississippi River there, and it was beautiful, and I would have liked to spend more time there. But my first night there, I was up late, and I decided to work outside on my computer, and then I got stung by many mosquitoes, and then I remembered, oh, this is malaria country, and I actually had a malaria scare where I thought I need to get out. If I'm going to be bit like that every day, I can't be here. And I think there are things that you can do to protect yourself. You can wear, I think wearing bug spray isn't even the first one. Number one, do you want to put chemicals on your body? That's something you should consider. And is it even effective? Which is much more salient and easy to discern. If it's not effective, it doesn't matter if it's bad for your health or not. You just don't wear it. There's no reason to. There's no reason to take the risk at all that it's bad for your health if it's not helping. So the thing you can really do is when they're out, be in a bug net. If it's dark outside and they've woken up and they're buzzing around, get in a bug net. So I was nervous. So I left Ulan Ratchathani and I got on a bus and I went to Konkan. And the first night I got there late and I said, oh, this bus station, it actually seems like they're not going to yell at me if I just lay down here at the bus station. Because I've done that. And they say, hey, man, move along. That's not cool. It's just the buses that I take always leave early in the morning or late at night. Or arrive late at night or early in the morning. And there are a lot of places. Like if I'm in Pitsanaluk, no, you do not want to lay down at that bus station. That is a sketchy place. But if I'm, in a nice place, and it seemed chill, you felt like no one was going to try to steal your underwear in Konkan. It was good. Here comes somebody. Are they coming? No, they're not coming. That's a smart kid. There are a lot of smart kids around here, as a matter of fact. I'm excited to meet the good people of Pi. So anyway, so I was in Konkan. I enjoyed sleeping at the bus station the first night, and then I walked to town, and Konkan is not a very walkable town. Konkan is nice, it's got good things. If you have a car or a scooter, I'm sure you'll have a great time. The good thing about Konkan is it's easy to want to learn Thai there because it's just an encouraging place to want to learn Thai. They have big box stores if you need to buy things like that. The cheapest hostel, the one I stayed at, I think was 150 baht per night, so it's not really in my comfort zone. I did not want to do that for a week. I'm fine with doing that, but maybe like 3 days a week max. Less, none if I have to. One is fine. More than that, no. Then we're in the wrong place. We need to go. And so I went to I stayed there for 2 nights, and then I decided, you know what, screw this. I don't have anywhere to be. There's no malaria chasing me out of town. I'm safe. I don't have any friends to go catch up with in Bangkok or anything. Like, I had no plans, and I remember that there was an immigration office at the Konkan bus station, and I went there. I tried to go there. They were actually closed. I went on Christmas Day, but it would have been a mistake for me to do it at that point. There's a form here called a TM30 you have to fill out that shows your address. So I went to the bus station, and then I stayed at the bus station for 4 or 5 days, just in the woods nearby. Resources there. There's a coffee shop that I spent a lot of time at, charging my phone. Great bathroom. There's multiple bathrooms that are open and free and with free showers inside. It's cold water, but free shower. 2 convenience stores. Lots of hot food being served in the style of street food. And many forms of transportation available, including one of those small buses. They call them buses, but they're not buses. They're like trucks with places to sit in the back. There's a covering. They're big trucks that they're people haulers. Bench style. You climb in the back, and you sit, and at 20 baht, take you to town. Good deal. Great way. That's the best way to get around here, actually, I think. If you don't have a scooter and you want to get around, if you want to have a great time in Thailand, do a trip almost completely in those style of vans. You'll have a great time, I promise. So I stayed there for 5 days, did a lot of work, worked on my program, did a lot of reflection, eased back into my life of being a traveler, felt better about that, felt more in my own style, and yeah, it was pretty hobo. It was the most hobo I've ever been, I think, in terms of I'm just going to live at this bus station. That's not something I'm able to say all the time, but it was good. And it was good. It was good. Oftentimes in my life, whenever you have a challenge in front of you, it's hard to stop and really breathe. And there are a lot of times in challenges where you should stop and breathe. If it's something like it's summer, and I'm going hiking on this mountain, and I want to make it to the peak. I'm determined to make it to the peak. But I am just so tired. I don't think I can make it. And then you stop and you say, wait a second. I have food. I'm carrying food. I'm carrying water. I have um, amount of shelter that is necessary for my situation. So if it's the summer and it's not raining, and the bugs aren't bad, then you have so many options. You have so many options. You need like the lightest bit of cover in certain situations. And if you say, look, you know what? I don't need to go back. I can actually just keep going. I want to make it to my goal. I feel comfortable doing that. I'm just gonna sleep here. Let me pivot. Let me just stop. I'll just stop. Instead of giving up, let me just do nothing and let time pass. And then look, I've got more time. Wow. And then you can meet your goal. That's not something that people are very good at. That's not something I've ever been really good at. It's something that I've looked at other people and I thought they should just stop. Just hold still for a second, and then that'll help you solve the problem. Or the problem might even solve itself. Um, if you can just manage to not indulge in eating, if you have a healthy amount of food already in you and yet to have, if you cannot indulge in I need to get back to town to buy a coffee, which is something I've felt before, and there's no shame in that. Um, and if you are ashamed of it, that's fine. Maybe drink less coffee. But it's an important part of my lifestyle. Coffee is a very important part of my lifestyle. I say coffee shops are where I live. I live at coffee shops, which probably isn't healthy, which is probably not something you want to say. You don't want a place where you get a drug to be that blank. If you say something like opium dens is where I live my life, it's probably not what you want to be doing. So I should probably cut back on the amount of coffee I drink. But that's the question, right? That's fun. So when you leave town, that's what the adventure is what do you miss? What do you learn about yourself? What do you need? Can you challenge yourself in a new way? Can you unlock your brain and an opportunity for your brain to do certain exercises that you enjoy doing and that you believe you get something out of? Do you just need a living room? Do you just want to go have that incredible view up in the mountains for a whole afternoon? Just be there with people you care about. It's a good feeling. And it's worth it. And I am not done growing on my journey as a traveler or a person who enjoys putting my stuff in a bag and going. I don't know what you call this. Is this traveling? What is it? I saw a great. I'm not a tourist. I'm a traveler, which is it's people say that not as a joke, but then it's also to say it is kind of a joke because it's like you're kind of making fun of those people, but. That's okay. Everyone should laugh at themselves. I laugh at myself. I'm hilarious. Yeah, I just like being able to put my stuff in a bag. I have a hard time enjoying myself when I don't have to put myself stuff in a bag. Let me put it that way. If I have good friends, I want to go on overnighters with you. I think our friendship will be deeper if we can go on an overnighter together. Come on, let's go. And I like asking yourself, like, which types of journeys are the most appropriate for an overnighter. You don't want to be driving for more than 2 hours for an overnighter. You want to be driving 45 minutes for an overnighter. You'd rather drive 15 minutes for an overnighter. Now, you want to do a 5-day trip, we can talk about 2 hours. But, and then you start to kind of figure out what works best. And I think 2 nights. I think 1 night isn't really enough. I think if you want to have like a full sense of yourself, then 2 nights is the way to go. I'm in that 2 to 5 night range. And there are some people out there who are in that 180 day range, and that is amazing. And that's usually not something you do every year. I would like to live a lifestyle where that could be done every year, but it probably won't be. All right, well, I got to get on down the way. Daylight's saying I got to get a pie, so here we go.